Hello and welcome to Cargo Masterminds presented by Cargo.one. Cargo Masterminds is our exclusive one-to-one weekly interview series with the leaders from the world's leading air cargo and logistic companies. My name is Reji John. Southwest Airlines is one of the world's most admired airlines, offering its one-of-a-kind value and service at 121 airports across 11 countries. Southwest took flight in 1971 to democratize the sky through friendly, reliable, and low-cost air travel, and now carries more air travelers flying non-stop within the United States than any other airline. 1973 marked the informal beginning of Southwest Cargo, with shipments of small packages via passenger request over the ticket counter. Then, in May 1990, Southwest Airlines management allowed the cargo unit to function as an independent department. Since then, Southwest Cargo has committed to provide specialized air cargo products to its customers, what the airline calls a relentlessly reliable airport-to-airport service. My guest today is someone who has been with Southwest Airlines for 31 years, and for the last 16 years, he has been contributing to the success of Southwest Cargo and a key leader in making Southwest Cargo a relentlessly reliable cargo operator for shippers. I'm extremely glad to have Wally Devereaux, Vice President Cargo and Charters, Southwest Airlines, in today's episode of Cargo Masterminds. Wally joins me from Dallas in the US. Wally, welcome to Cargo Masterminds. Such an honor to have you with us.
Great to be here. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Wally, could you please place in context the importance of cargo in Southwest, the biggest low-cost carrier in the world, with a fleet of 793 planes, all Boeing 737 as per the number that is available as of March 2023?
Sure. So, Southwest Cargo is really a very profitable ancillary revenue stream for Southwest Airlines, and it has been for some time. We have 4,000 flights a day, and you mentioned our fleet, which is now right around that 800 aircraft number. So we have a lot of space on any given day to utilize and to try to make money with. And cargo has been just a great contributor for many, many years here at Southwest. I think the other thing I would maybe mention is that it's, aside from the revenue, it's also proven to be a very important service, I think, to the communities that we serve. We oftentimes, fly life-saving medical shipments around the system. We have a really good network for that kind of thing. And so it's contributed in a lot of ways.
I looked at your financial numbers for the full year 2022 and for the Q1 and Q2. Compared to the overall revenue, which is $23.8 billion for 2022, the revenue from cargo is about $177 million for 2022, which is less than 1% of the total revenue. And in Q2 2023, the cargo revenue is about $47 million as against the $41 million recorded for the previous year, but the same as that of Q2 of 2022. What do you think is the cargo numbers will be by the end of 2023?
Well, maybe a couple of comments here. I think, first of all, it is a relatively low percentage of our total gross revenue at Southwest Airlines, but it does offer, very healthy margins. So when you think about it more from an operating income standpoint, it becomes a little bit more meaningful. But I do think as the year goes on, I would expect at this point for us to kind of stay in line with our 2022 results, I think is a reasonable expectation, give or take.
Okay, I also looked at the cargo carried for financial year 2022, and it is 205 million pounds of cargo, which is about 93,000 tons. What is the available annual cargo capacity in Southwest? And if you can give a breakup of in terms of how much is that in terms of capacity for the domestic, and you also operate and move cargo international.
Sure. So I think the short answer is that we have a lot of capacity. So we have on any given day, 4,000 plus flights per day. Now they're all narrow body 737 aircraft, but each of those flights, just as an average, we'll say, can carry about 1,500 pounds of cargo. So when you kind of annualize that, you're really looking at about 2 billion pounds of weight that's available in our network on an annual basis. So the vast majority of that too, Reji, is in the domestic arena. So we have a very limited international schedule. Most of that goes to a leisure destination. So we don't move a lot of cargo internationally. We do move some, but the vast majority of our capacity is available in the domestic arena for us, or in the in the United States.
Well, you want to reflect on the global air freight market, which is actually going through a very challenging time because of the global macroeconomic factors, which is actually constricting demand and making cargo yield fall very sharply. What is your reading of the current market conditions, and what do you think is their impact on Southwest, which fully relies on belly cargo capacity and largely a domestic operation within the U.S.?
Yeah, so I think we have been a bit maybe less exposed, certainly, to what's going on in the broader global air cargo market. So the impact for us has been a bit less. We certainly do move cargo that comes in from international locations or is going to international locations. So there is some impact, but to date it has been a bit more limited than what we've seen maybe with some of the other carriers. I would say that certainly economic conditions are weighing on results there, but I also think some of it's probably a little bit of normalization that would still kind of, that needed to occur in this post-pandemic environment. As you've seen international passenger travel really start to perform well. I think that has almost naturally resulted in some of the downturn on the cargo side, I think, with all of the additional capacity that now is available. But as for the impact to Southwest Airlines, it's been a little bit more limited.
Southwest is known for its high-frequency point-to-point network and high asset utilization business model. That's what Southwest follows, and that has been the reason for its continuous success over the last 5 decades. How do you design and orchestrate your cargo operations to match with such a model?
Yeah, so that's a good question. First of all, I think that is one of the things that shippers love about Southwest. We're a bit of a unique provider out there in that we're a narrow body carrier, and we do move quite a bit of cargo on an annual basis. But I think the thing that people love is the fact that we have this very high frequency network. We have lots of capacity. We have lots of redundancy. And so if you're not able to move something as planned initially, a lot of times we have routings available through other markets that may actually get the cargo there at about the same time. And so it really allows for a really good network for shippers. And I think, the thing for us that's important is we have to do, cargo-wise, we have to be very conscientious of the impact that we have on the operation, because the last thing that you want is for cargo in some way to contribute to delays or operational complexities on the ramp that you'd rather avoid. And so we try to focus very much on commodities that we know we can be successful carrying, that we know will fit our network well, that we know our ramp staffing will be able to handle. We really focus a lot of attention there, and then we move a lot of cargo really just like we move our luggage. So it moves throughout the system in a very similar fashion. So you're not doing something dramatically different as a ramp agent, as an example, moving cargo versus moving luggage. It's all loosely loaded on the aircraft, just like a bag would be. And so your processes are similar. Your commodities that we carry, we focus on certain things that really fit the network well. And then the other thing that we're very actively manage is just the capacity that's available that we sell or will manifest cargo to. And so we have a capacity management system that we use that forecasts essentially how much space and how much weight will be available on a flight on any given day. We establish lids for that capacity, and it adjusts as bookings come in for passengers, and as bag estimates adjust, then that capacity will adjust accordingly. And so what we want to try to make sure that we do is never to send cargo out to the flight line that actually cannot be loaded on an aircraft. And so that's something that we actively do. We don't do it perfectly because the variables change so often. When you think about capacity above the wing, you know how many seats you have. When you think about capacity below the wing, you're really estimating your passengers, you're estimating your bags, you're really not necessarily accounting for tankered fuel related to weather or something like that en route. And so there are some variables that you almost just can't account for perfectly. But the goal is to make sure that we don't send anything out there that can't be loaded on a flight. So we're really trying to do our best to again, take what we know we can move well and to manifest to space that we know we have, and to do things from an operational processes standpoint that are in line with the processes that our ramp already manages as it relates to baggage.
I know that your operational excellence is something that a lot of the domestic airlines in different parts of the world try to emulate and try to mimic. I think you have provided that that model to a lot of the domestic airlines around the world. Wally, give us a sense of the cargo commodities that Southwest Cargo carries, and can you tell us what commodity contributes the biggest share in terms of volume and value? I had a chance of look at some of the videos that is posted on your website. Beautiful videos of shippers talking about shippers who manufacture chocolates, farmers who grow fresh fruits and vegetables. Interesting mix of commodities. If you can take us through the variety of commodities and what their volume and value to the overall Southwest Cargo.
Yeah, so as you might imagine, especially with the pandemic kind of in the near rearview mirror here, our e-commerce related commodities grew dramatically during that period of time. And so really, if you think about maybe the largest single segment, and there's lots of things that kind of fall into the e-commerce category, but e-commerce related goods are probably the largest in terms of volume that moves around our system. But, with the network that we have and the frequency of the schedule, we tend to do very well with medical shippers. We move a lot of different medical commodities around our system. We move a lot of organs for transplant, as an example. But we also move a lot of things, like you mentioned, a lot of perishable commodities that need to move quickly as well. So fresh flowers and seafood and different things like that. We move a lot of those commodities, and just kind of almost, lots of different things in between. We've moved over the years, rescue alligators on our flight. We've moved some really interesting commodities, and we do really on any given day. But if you're looking at maybe the larger categories besides e-commerce, medical and perishable commodities tend to be some of the largest areas that we do quite well with.
Well, when we talk about the e-commerce commodities, a lot of the packages that come to your cargo shipment it comes under general cargo, but there is no specific categorization as an e-commerce. So as an airline, do you specifically categorize as an e-commerce shipment, or do a lot of it actually go as general cargo?
For our purposes, we would categorize those shipments really as consumer goods, but they come from larger e-commerce shippers. And so we know they're e-commerce related, but a lot of it's, tends to be retail commodities and consumer goods that are purchased via e-commerce channels and then consolidated in some way, actually that are moving as zone skipping mail around our network and then are ultimately ingested into the postal system by the shipper that's moving them. So we just happen to know, based on the shippers that we have and knowledge of their commodities that they move, that they're e-commerce related goods. That I don't know if that answers your question, but
just want a little more information about your international cargo shipment, which began in 2018. Currently, I know it's not big in terms of volume, but how many destinations do you service?
Internationally for cargo, I'm going to have to make a guess. I think we're serving 7 destinations with cargo services. So it's right around that number, and it's as I mentioned a little bit earlier, it's very limited for us at this point, but we do have a couple of locations that actually do pretty well with cargo volumes, and then some that are, just move a little bit. But international really is something that is important to us. We have a limited flight schedule at the moment, and so that obviously causes us to have kind of limited results there as well. But ultimately, as Southwest Airlines grows over the years, and as our international network potentially grows, cargo is certainly part of those plans.
Okay, before I move into the next topic, which is actually digitalization, I just want you to tell us about during the pandemic, when a lot of your flights operations actually came to a standstill. Did you have cargo loaded on the passenger cabins, and did you utilize any of your fleet for cargo movement?
During the pandemic, we did move a lot of cargo throughout the system. Now, we didn't seat load cargo on our aircraft or fly what was commonly referred to as freighters around the network, but we had a lot of capacity. We continued to serve all of the markets, that we had historically served. So our service didn't stop anywhere. And I think one of the things that we were certainly proud of was the opportunity to move a lot of COVID-related supplies and test kits and various things like a lot of carriers did. We certainly participated in that as well. And so we had a lot of space to use, and we used it.
Well, digitalization has been a very key topic across aviation, and more recently, this has become so critical for cargo operations. Tell us some of the important digital initiatives in Southwest Cargo.
Sure. So, we've been focusing a lot on building out some of our API connections. So that's been important, almost like some of the plumbing that was necessary for us to really provide better digital connectivity options to our customers. So some of our API development around bookings and facility information and tracking information is being worked on currently. We've been very happy with the product that we utilize for our online booking service. We partnered with a company called Hangar A, and in this particular case, it's been that's worked very well for kind of our own booking label site. And then I think the third thing around the technology side is really more internal, and it has to do with utilizing mobile devices for our employees in our warehouses and out on the ramp that can more actively manage cargo, maybe changes to routings or different things like that. It really kind of puts the tools in their hands to be much more efficient and to move more quickly and to change things as they kind of change with the operation versus maybe sending cargo back to be remanifested at the cargo facility. So that certainly has been a focus of ours as well.
And going forward, will you have more investment into digital transformation tools in order to further increase and improve the cargo operations?
We work closely with our technology department. We have a dedicated team from that department that their focus is our cargo business. And they continue to not only manage the systems and kind of the things that we have in place today, but also, their focus has been to help us modernize, our technology offerings that we do have, and to make us to make it easier for us to do business with other customers or partners. And so that technology group has really been helpful. We also have a technology team in the cargo department as well that interfaces with that group. And so that's certainly a big part of our strategic efforts going forward.
Well, 2023, this year marks 50 years of Southwest Cargo and 52 years for the airline. As I said in the introduction, how significant is this for Southwest Cargo?
It's a big deal. And I guess I would start by saying it certainly shows a commitment to our shippers and to our cargo customers that Southwest Airlines has been doing this for a while, that continues to do this and has performed, I think very well for many years. And so we have a pretty loyal customer base and following, and a lot of that has been established over this 50-year career that we have. I think the other thing, I would mention is that we have so many employees and teammates around that have been in the cargo business for a long time. And so it's not uncommon for me to be in a cargo facility where, chatting with some of our, employees there that I might be the junior guy in the conversation. And I've been here over 30 years, as you mentioned. And so we have a lot of very passionate folks in the cargo business. We've been doing it for a long time. We're very fortunate to have people that want to be in cargo, that love the business and are passionate about it. And I think that's one of the things that shippers love about us is certainly our people and the great job that they do. But a lot of that's been developed just over this 50-year timeline.
You spent practically all of your professional career, 31 years at Southwest. A major part of your professional career was building of Southwest Cargo. Give us a few examples of the high points of Southwest Cargo and a few highlights of your career in Southwest.
I love that question, and this may be a bit of a surprising answer, but during the pandemic, as difficult as that certainly was, we were able to do a lot of things that I was really proud of. We were able to generate revenue for Southwest Airlines. We were able to really implement some pretty important strategic initiatives in a very short time window that under normal circumstances just wouldn't have, we wouldn't have been able to do it that way. We were able to work together with, with a team that had been or was reduced down a bit because we had voluntary separation programs that people could utilize to retire. And so our staffing was less. And despite, all of those things and all of the constantly changing things in the environment, I really looked back on that and was very proud of what the team was able to accomplish during that time. And that will always be a memory of mine. And it's not to say, obviously, that wasn't a very difficult time, but during difficult times, you can be inspired. And I certainly was by the work of the team, and I was proud of how to be a part of that. If you think about, highlights in my career, every day that the gate opens up, Reji, that I drive up and put my badge in front of it and the gate opens up is kind of a highlight. So the highlight for me is I got lucky back in 1992 when I got hired. Southwest is a wonderful company and has been wonderful to me, and I am very thankful to have the opportunity here. And I'm thankful when that gate opens up every day and they let me into the office. So it's been a real blessing for me, and every day's kind of been a highlight.
Wally, thank you so much. It's been a great pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, very nice to talk to you as well. Thank you very much for the invitation.
That was Wally Devereaux, Vice President Cargo and Charters at Southwest Airlines. I hope you enjoyed watching this interview. If yes, like, comment, share, and recommend this video to your friends. And more important, if you're not a subscriber of our YouTube channel, please do subscribe now and click the bell icon so that you do not miss any of our new videos. An audio podcast of this series is available on Spotify. I highly recommend you to check it out. Don't forget to follow Cargo Masterminds on Spotify. Join me next Monday for another episode of Cargo Masterminds presented by Cargo.one. Until we meet again, have a great week ahead. Thank you.